Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Brands on Brands podcast. I'm Brandon Berkmeyer, and today's topic is on curiosity. And the question we're trying to answer today is, how do you become an expert? The question we're trying to answer today is, how do you become an expert? How do you become a thought leader in your industry? And we're going to jump into this today looking at our profile, a personal brand profile on Neil Degrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson is obviously a thought leader in his field of he's an astrophysicist. So in the field of space and time and studying the universe, he's become a thought leader in that space. And we look back at his time to bring some of those highlights to you today. Now, the things to know about Neil is, first and foremost, obviously, he is a famed astrophysicist with many contributions to the space, but also he's a director of Hayden Planetarium as at the American Museum of Natural History, in New York. And that is where some of this started for him. And I like to look for pivotal points that really led to these changes in people. And when I'm looking at Neil deGrasse Tyson and his experience and where he came from and what these turning points might be for his personal brand, what I really look for is, for him, becoming an expert started with curiosity, and that curiosity being nurtured. So his interest in astronomy began, he says, at the age of 9, visiting the Sky Theater of the Hayden Planetarium. He recalled it was so strong an imprint that he certainly had no choice in the matter, that in fact, the universe had called to him. And during high school, he attended astronomy courses offered at the planetarium, which he called the most formative period of his life. And he credited Mark Chartland III, the director of the planetarium at the time, as his first intellectual role model. And his enthusiastic teaching style mixed with humor inspired Tyson to communicate the universe to others in that same way. He eventually studied astronomy in through his teen years and gave his first lecture on the subject at the age of 15. Eventually, he applied to university, and in his letter, it was so obvious that this was such a passion of his that Carl Sagan, one of the leaders in the space at the time, personally invited him out to show him the school and take him on board. Mentors like this helped nurture his curiosity and allowed him to continue to explore that to the point of becoming an expert in his field. Now, there's two things I want to point out here, right? One is, obviously there was a curiosity to begin with from the very beginning, but there was someone along the way to coach him, to nurture him, for him to look to for guidance, to continue to take routes to explore, right? So what I'd like to point out is, for any of you out there who are trying to become an expert in their field, it's great to have mentors. It's great to have coaches that are smarter than you, that are ahead of you in the field, that you can learn from. And if these people are too unattainable, start with gaining peers in your field that you can bounce ideas off of. But it's okay to strive for greatness by looking up to and studying the people that have come before you. Having a coach or mentor in your space is critical, because if they are breaking the boundaries, you've got to at least catch up to them before you can blaze your own path. So getting coaches and mentors is important to taking that curiosity and nurturing it. But having that curiosity to begin with is important, because once you have that, once you are inquisitive and curious in nature about the subject you want to study, you will seek out the leaders in your space. You will seek out information, and the information you find usually has an author or creator of that information. And continuing to research other things they put out will help you get there. So don't just study the information in front of you, study the people. Study the people and what they're teaching, so that you then can start to explore on your own and push past where they've gone, and also start to then form your own ideas. But it starts with that curious nature, and that curious nature, it has to be nurtured and driven through the coaching and mentor of the people that came before you, through the studies and research and work of the people that came before you. Don't start from scratch. Build off of what the foundations were in your industry, but then feel free to explore from their shoulders. That I think is the lesson that I've picked up from Neil deGrasse Tyson today, amongst many other things, which was just the genuine interest in space and their perception of the universe, and just inspiring the rest of us to be curious about the world around us. I found hugely important. And he also has a great perspective on how to raise your children to be curious as well, which I talk about in our clip of the week in a different episode. But that's all I got for you today, you guys, today in our profile, our personal brand profile on Neil deGrasse Tyson. I hope you guys found it interesting, and I will catch you next time. Brands on Brand.